So, today we're going to be working on a Proto 2000 P2K. This is an E-6, an A unit, and we got a B unit. I'm going to show you guys how to disassemble them, relube them, maintain them, fix them up, and get them running the rails again. Hi, I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. These guys here, they were the first fanciest loco that I've ever owned in my whole life. Back about 3 years ago when I got back into the hobby, bought this huge collection up, these guys were in it. I didn't even really know what it was or how it worked or if it was DCC or not. This one here, it's DCC ready. That means it's got everything in it where you could just plug a chip into it, an 8-pinner, and head on down the road with it if you want to do that. But you know me, I'm more of a DC kind of guy. I've got some good information for you on the Proto line, made by Lifelike, now owned by Walthers. Got some information on the E-6s that's out there, and also the ones that are remaining. Let's get into this repair video and get this thing tuned up. Well, here is this Proto 2000, this E unit. We got an A, we got a B. Looks like we got some hand railing issues going on here. Dusty from laying around. Oh, we lost one of them there. Here's a couple there. It says Lifelike right down there on the bottom. Where's it made? Oh yeah, made in China. Yup, does have bellows. Somebody's put some bellows on it. Yeah, oh, we're missing handrail. Oh, the hand railings are just kind of all over the place. Dang it, dang it. Steps are all there. Well, let's do what we got to do to get into this thing. If I remember right, just do a little body pry. Oh, yes. One step broken off. Man, I just can't win. Look at that monster. Holy moly. What a beast. What is this thing weighing in at? 1 pound, 9.5 ounces. Holy moly. It's got all this going on. And right there's the plug for the DCC. So it is DCC ready. I operate it on DC because, you know, that's how I am. But I have never serviced this thing. I might have took it apart and rooted around. Never done the service. Is that stock? I don't know. Oh, look at that. It's even got a little engineer sitting right there. And this guy, he fell out. The conductor. Well, let's get this weight out of the way. I can see some Phillips screws right there. This board, it's screwed down. Paint tray, put the parts in. Let's get this board out of the way first. 3 screws, yup. 3 of them. What is that? Is that like a little, oh yeah, it's a transistor. Bolted down for heat sinkage. Here's a little washer that was underneath there. That must be important. How about these screws up in here? Gotta get down. Gotta get deep into this thing. A little on the longer side there. Meaty, beefy ones. Big ones. Is our weight becoming... Nope. 2 more right over here. Come on. 1 more. There you go. That's what we wanted. Yep, that weight, it's loose. But we got these wires. They're going to the trucks. They're kind of in the way. A lot of the stuff is in the way. This board is really well marked. You can see a motor plus, motor negative. Oh, that doesn't make sense. That says R, but this is a blue. That says blue, and this is a red. And this one says white. This one's got a D on it. That one does say yellow. And then this pickup here's got a plus. And I'm only assuming that the other one's going to have a negative. It does? Yep, right there. This has got an operating Mars light in the front of it. I know that it does this little blinky thing when it's going. And it looks like that red and blue do go up in there. Why they're backwards is beyond me. Because everything else is marked except for this D. Black for D. It's got these quick connects on it that I hate. Pull them off with your thumb. You can get the wire come right out of there. I think I'll solder those back up when I put them in though. Get that last wire out of there. And here is a good view of our 8-pin DCC, getting ready to accept a DCC board if you wanted to put a DCC board in it. But I'm not gonna do that. But it can do it. So this is just doing light control and runs the Mars light up there. Pretty fancy, pretty fancy. Hey, I found out what this means. Somebody told me. Component side. That tells the guys when they're busy soldering all this together at the factory. Tells them put all the stuff in on this side. You know, don't put it on this side. Put it over on this side. Put the electrical components on this side. Yeah. See, I learn stuff. I ask questions. People answer. And then I can share it with y'all. Now this is that weird black one right there. I want to hold on to. Where is he going? Well, that goes to the trucks too. Red, black. And red looks like it's on the right side of the locomotive. Yeah, we'll go with that. Motor, yeah, red and black. Just so much stuff. That's a big weight though. Wow. A couple screws under here. It looks like it'll take that cab out. One over here on this side. And another over here on this side. Well, all that's going to that light? Jesus. Oh, because it's got two lights up there. Yeah, it's got a headlight under here. You can see the bulb. And then it's got the Mars light right there. So, man, that's a lot. There's a lot going on up there. Sure wish I had the conductor. Now, this looks like old home week right here now, don't it? Now we're back to what looks comfortable. These towers, gear tower covers. I can see that they're just, yep, they pop out. Input shaft. It's got a timing pin on it. And the truck comes right out. Sure. Motor armature, small. It's not really I wouldn't call it a can motor because it's not sealed. It's definitely an open frame. Got some really healthy flywheels on it. Does this cover come off? I bet you maybe it does. I have to know. Held on with double-sided sticky tape. Too funny. And if it wasn't for that cover, it would almost look like it's got an Athearn motor in it. Look at the rubber mounts down here. That's interesting. They got some tape over that to protect it from shorting out. All these things even hinge off there like an Athearn motor. I can't believe it. Well, let's get into this truck. So we want to get in there and clean it up and re-lube. Get it re-lubed. I can see some keepers right there and right there. And there's also one down here on the bottom. Come in here. Oh, that's tiny. And it's plasticky. Really? Very carefully. Come up under the side. Pry those guys out. There's the other one. Truck's got a lot of nice details on it. Holy. It's got an outer, and then it's got an inner piece in there too. There's a staple right there. Prying them out. There's pins that they're sitting on right here. So I just kind of spread it open. Is this the right way to do it? I don't know. I'm not breaking anything, so I gotta be moving forward some. Pull the wires out from underneath there. Oh, look at that. That's a good looking truck frame. Holy moly. Very nice. What are we down to now? Here's some inner pieces. That is a lot of detail. This is the kind of stuff that I break. Wow. Brake shoes. Wow. Very nice. Are they symmetrical? Yeah. Hoofda. Now we're down to this plain Jane looking thing. Look at the front wheel. It pivots up and down. I like this the more I work on it. I was wondering why there was that split right there. Now I know. Coming down in between, I'm going to try to catch this lock over on this one side and unlatch it. That's what I'm hoping to do. Look, you can see the bearing blocks right there. Looks like Athearn wheels. There's half of the side done. Come back to the other side. Catch these locks. Uncouple them. One more. There's 4 of them in there. Yes. And we're all done. See, yeah. These were the locks that I was trying to get uncoupled. Reaching up underneath there and catching these and just popping them out a little bit. Dry. Check this front one here. Yep. Just gently get up in there with the screwdriver coming up from this direction and try to catch those latches. Third wheel set is out. Yes, maybe. Oh yeah. That's what we wanted right there. Why did that gear have to fall out when I wasn't looking? Well, I'm just gonna, yeah, this gear was right there. So there's what the inside of our gear case looks like. That is a lot of stuff. Just got a whisper of grease right there on it. And nobody else has got any. Big, little, big, 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 big. It's funny how these gears didn't crack. Or did I speak too soon? Don't do that. Jinx yourself. That is a nice truck. Yes, it is. The first time I've ever taken one apart. And there it is. Stuff all over the place. Relatively clean. I can take a scrub brush after this one. A little bit of soap to get the dirt off of it. Everything else didn't have much dirt. We'll zing these up a little bit with the old fiberglass pencil. Right in here, get them wheels shiny. They do look like they're nickel silver. Take some odorless mineral spirits and a Q-tip. Maybe just touch these up just a little bit. I mean, there's just a little bit of grease there. There ain't hardly any grease at all. I'm gonna clean this up. We'll come back and start to reassemble it and lube it, get it put back together. Lifelike trains, they've been around since, you know, like the 60s and 70s. They were doing scenery and stuff. Then they got into building locomotives and cars, and we all probably played with them back in the 70s and the 80s. After a while, they decided to come out with a phenomenally re-engineered line they called their Proto 2000. That's where the P2K comes from. Must be left over from Y2K or something like that. Anyway, completely redesigned, fancy for their time when they came out. They were you know, really high-end kind of locomotives. The Proto line was introduced in 1989. Unbelievably detailed, unbelievable performance for all the stuff that was available at the time. In 1998, they came out with their Proto 1000 line. Not quite as detailed, not quite as expensive, built beefier. So the younger modelers, they could, you know, play with them, have a little nicer locomotive than the stock stuff that was out, but it didn't cost you an arm and a leg. In 1999, Proto came out with the Heritage Steam Collection, mainly focused on American-made steam locomotives, sold in a little different box. And when Lifelike, they decided to get out of the train business about 2005. That's when old Walthers come along, bought up all their stuff, and they continued with the Proto line, but it's now called Walthers Proto. That's their top-notch, top-tier, detailed, motor-wise, electronics-wise, the bomb. They had a little timeline, how you could tell which Protos that you got. The first ones that ever came out, they were in a Proto box. It was kind of a light brown in color. Then the next series that came out was in a light blue box. Then after that, they started putting them out in kind of a darker blue colored box. These would all be the Lifelike Proto ones. The Heritage Steam, they came out in red colored boxes. And the Walthers Proto stuff, it's now out there in silver boxes. Proto 2000s. The Proto 1000, still available in a white box. Through the whole run, always been a white box. Best I can tell from what the Google web told me. Let's get back into this repair. Well, it only took one Q-tip to clean it, so that was one of the nicest set of trucks that I've ever cleaned. Also, we are going to use Super Lube, synthetic grease. We're going to grease up where all these gears ride, and there seems to be a lot of areas to grease up at. Put a little in the serving tray right here. Put some on the toothpick, and there's 3, 6, 7 holes down in here. So we're just going to put some, just a little in here. It obviously doesn't need hardly any or none because it was running. We're going to make it one more better though. We're going to do both sides also. And I kind of cheated. I kind of laid these gears out the way they came out. And then the bigger feller. And then this big monster. The bull gear. The ring gear that works off the wearing gear. Yeah. So there's all that. I cleaned up all my wheel sets here with the fiberglass pencil. You can get these on Amazon. Just type in fiberglass pencil. This is an 8-wheel pickup, or I'm sorry, 12-wheel. This is metal right here on this side, metal over here. So these bushings, these brass bushing blocks, well, they're going to conduct the juices all the way through everything. So once these are in, and apparently I'm kind of betting you can't put them in backwards because they're insulated. So they made them just for guys like me. Simple. Third axle in. Got to line up the bearing blocks, bushing blocks. But I don't want to grease all this stuff. It just seems like a good time to do it. Just, you know, you put some on the gears and then when you run them around, it spreads out through them all. Then you can see how the gears, they look just a little shiny. That's the sheen that I'm always talking about when they get their grease spread out real nice, then they kind of shine just some. Now that we got this thing wide open, it's a good time now to also oil up these bushing blocks. Get up in here and just little tastes. Times 6. Now these covers that we're going to put on, you can see it's got these little nibbins sticking out right here. They go over the top of the blocks. Get that down in place, lock it in. You can hear it click. Yes. Take this one over here. We're going to do the same. I remember it was really close to that one when it was on. So it does only go on one way. Keep an eye on that. Put a couple more here on the top. I'm loving it. Now, put all this fanciness on. Sure jazzes them up. These guys here, they seem to be, you know, you put them on in whichever direction you want. Those would look really nice if they were sprayed silver, I think. And then we're going to just take it and spread the frame, the truck frames, and get them on these little pins that are down under there. Real gentle like. Apparently the axles of the trucks will go in on it too. That's what it'll look like when she's all said and done. Yeah, be careful when you shove it in like this, because I took this truck and I squished it in just a little bit. Yes? Yes? Yes. So you sight down this area right here to make sure that the bottoms, you know, they're all even with the bottom of the wheels. If it's going like this, then you know you don't got it yet. Those are just the fanciest, honest, just the fancy. I can't stop talking about them. Get this in there on its bolster pin. I think we'll give that just a little bit of something right down in here. Looks like it used to. Time this drive line up. It's got a little slot in it. It's got a line. It's right here. And it's got to line up with the line that's in the drive line tube. No thrust washers. Unbelievable. Went through all that engineering and they just couldn't do it. Wouldn't pull it off. You gotta get these bushing blocks both lined up at once to slide it in. I've herded cats before and it was easier. Little oil for the bushings. We're gonna give a little grease for the worm gear. I'm liking it. Snap this cover back on. Yeah, clipped in nice like that. That's the way I wanted it to sound. Now I'm gonna start on the other truck. We'll do that off camera and knock it out because you just seen how to do the one truck. So I thought this shot right here might be kind of interesting. These are all the components that are in the trucks in one truck. This is it all taken apart stuff. Lots of stuff. Of course, I'm not going to take this apart where, you know, it hinges or nothing like that. No. But, yep, stuff, things. I just found it interesting. Then we got our trucks and drive lines back on. We got this dirty armature right here. I just kind of want to get in there and I want to just give it a little bit more of a shine. Just a little bit. It ain't bad. I mean, we're right here, right? Just a little quick zing and whoop that right into shape. Let's give our motor Earl on these bushings. Come in over here, the smallest little taste, because you don't want to contaminate the commutator. Got another one over here. Hey, there's even thrust washers on this end. Give them just the smallest little taste to help out. Now we got to fight getting all these wires back where they go. Fantastic amount of hoopla. Got these screws right here. We'll just put them in, hold this weight down where we want it to. Couple in the front, couple in the back. One little trick is to get them all started before you crank them down. Shoot, you know what? You got to put that on before you put the weight, take the weight. Fine. You know, it's just like an hour ago when I took it apart. I can't, you know, you just things, forget stuff. Get these screws in for the cockpit. Unbelievable detail on this thing. I just can't get over it. Got to put that guy under there for the heat sink. Mount this board back up. 3 screws onto it. Got my hand, I suppose, is probably in the way. Yup. There, all we got to do is get all the whiz-bangies on. Well, I decided to use those little plastic things to hold the wires back on. Got everything where it's supposed to be. We just got the one last thing to do. Make it factory. Yep. Good old DCC. So many wires. But it enhances my railroading experience. Yeah. Okay, well. Now, all we gotta do is take it to the track and see if it works. The E-6 locomotive, it was a streamlined passenger locomotive. It's made by Electromotive Division of General Motors down there in LaGrange, Illinois. The E-6A, the cab version, you know, the one where the guys sit in it and operate it, the front one. It was manufactured from 1939 to 1942. And they cranked out 91 of them. The B version, the E6B, they're made from 1940 to 1942 also. They only produced 26 of these. These big buggers, they had 2,000 horsepower in them. What they did, they had two 1,000 horsepower 12-cylinder engines inside there, each running their own generator, each driving its own set of tracks. Or I guess we should have called them the traction motors. Oddly enough, the E-6, it was the seventh model of a long line of these cab passenger locomotives that are just typically referred to as the E units. According to the Google web out there, there's only 3 locomotives that are still kind of kicking around, preserved, on display, static. I could not tell if any of them are currently running, or they're going through rebuild, because the Wikipedia didn't have, this could be from 2008, I'm not sure. The ones that are out there right now, there's the Atlantic Coastlines, number 501. It's living in Spencer, North Carolina, at the North Carolina Transportation Museum. It's been fully cosmetically restored. It may or may not run. I'm not 100% sure. The Louisville and Nashville, number 770. Nashville? Maybe it's Nashville and Louisville. Louisville? No, not that. Don't say that. The 770 is at the Kentucky Railroad Museum down in New Haven, Kentucky. And the Chicago Rock Island and Pacific, also known as simply Rock Island, number 630. It's living at the Midland Railway Historical Society in Baldwin City, Kansas. Oh, sure. Nothing. Pulling voltage. Not pulling them dang little things right here. I think that they got me. They're buggering me up. Solder them on. Yes. A little bit of paste flux. Oh, sure. Well, that's a lot better. Doing what it's supposed to be doing now. It's got one of them fancy light boards in it, so it controls the light on DC. We go into forward, then we get this little thing up here doing what it's supposed to do. It's got kind of just a little gallop to it. It's kind of worked its way out. 4 volts. Anytime I drop below 4 volts, then we lose its creeping ability. Now we're at 3. That's not too shabby. Oh. And we lose it at 2.5 volts. So right there's about the best creep speed we can get out of her. Put a bunch of weight behind it, put a little more volts to it, maybe it'll go slower. Let's take a look at that body. Now that we've got this all tuned up, doing its thing. Here's what we got for the body. It's kind of neat that these doors, they open. But these handrails, actually they're called grab irons. They're broken. And they're like just really poor plastic. Some here, there was some back here. And then even the little nibbins, I don't know if you can, they're still stuck in the body. And when you work on getting these popped out of here, then you got little holes that are left. And I happen to have some stainless steel wire that I believe I'm going to try to bend up and make myself a set of hand railings, grab irons to make these look better. They're all broken too. Bodies need to be washed up. We'll lube these. We'll just give them a little oil. That's all that this B unit's gonna need. Try to make these look a little more better, prettier. Yep. I've actually went with some of this stainless steel wire, 0.19 of an inch diameter. And when these things, they break off and they're flush, the old plastic ones, and you got to get the holes opened up like these right here. And so far I've seen it's best to come on here with your little knife and you just kind of flick it out. Yep, flick it, yep. This one here, it's plugged. So these holes are just barely 0.19. So I can take some wire and I can just get it in there and push the broken slug through. Now we got a hole there. Flick these out, then we got to hand bend the wires. And they all got to be consistent. Put a little bend, a little 90 degree, little hook like this. Then I got to bend the other one. So I've set this to the length that I need. And I come under here and I see I need just a little tiny bit to make my bend. Okay, making sure we're at a 90. Give her another whiz bang. How close are we? Let's just try for sure. So now we end up with a hand railing that looks like that, and we're going to see if we can get her to fit. Cut it, test fit it, and if it works, glue it in. Now, in order not to get too much glue all over the body, I'm putting just a little bit on the end of this. Little taste up there by the hole. Get a little bit on the end of the wire. Get it in at the top. And we want it spaced the right amount. Eyeball down it. Then on the bottom one, you can glue it on the back side. Am I going to paint these? No. This is a special edition one. It's got stainless steel grab irons. Yes, because I didn't want to mess around trying to paint them. I don't got this color. Here's what the locomotive's looking like so far. Sure. I got my jig set up to do this measurement, so I'm doing them here. Then we'll go to the short ones. Time. Takes lots of time. This B unit, when the body came off, there's screws underneath of it. You can see the 4 screw holes right in here. And, you know, so it doesn't just open the body and pop it off like the locomotive does. Another thing I wanted to show, these have got the KD 455 close coupler conversions on it. You can, in the truck, you know, the draft box spins separately from everything, and there's a front and there's a back. And I remember when I first started putting these on, they got like the number 5 couplers in there where you got to put that little curly Q spring in it and everything. I about lost my mind. Of course, you know, I didn't film any of this back in the day. Here's what this front one, the pilot, would look like in the back. So the pilots, they're a little different than the rear ones. But you can see that the rear ones, they you know, they turn. Really nice, but got the handrails, got the grab irons. They're grab irons, they're not handrails. They're all done. So I am going to put this together. Oh, look at this. I noticed when I was working on this, there's a little F right there. And that stands for the front. Here's the front. So when I go to put this on, I gotta make sure it's at the front of it, because that's how they work. So that way the boys know when they're switching where the front of the B unit is at. Yep. Well, here's what she looks like when she's all put back together. Cleaned up, lubed up. Well, I do have to say that this close coupler conversion, it didn't work so well at that point. Back here, yeah, that looks right. Dang it. These are those cars that I did that tune-up on. Put the KD conversions to it on them old River Aussies. This is the whole set that I've always wanted to have for passenger stuff. Figured we'd give this old girl something to pull. Oh, sure. Nice. Nice and quiet. Not really asking it to pull a lot here. I did pull, like, I don't know, almost every car I owned 3 years ago. Almost made the thing chase its own caboose with this engine. I was really pretty proud of it. Yeah. Good quiet little runner though. Yes. Nice creep speed. Sure. E-6, A and B. Pull it in over here on the old passenger siding that I included. Got these things running beautiful. Been working on this about 2.5 days now in the dead of summer when everybody's suffering from heat stroke. It's been a hot one. So I'm gonna get to editing this whole thing together, get all this stuff, you know, watchable so it's interesting, send it out to you guys. Thanks so much. I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. Bye-bye.